Gastric Sleeve Surgery Day. I know before surgery, I was curious about what that experience would be like, and I bet you are too. I was so curious about this before I had surgery, and it was probably the second most interesting thing to me other than people's before and after pictures. The day before surgery, I continued my pre-surgery diet, and then that cut off at some point and I was on clear liquids. And then that cut off at some point, and then at midnight I drank what's called a CF pre-op drink. That's the letter C as in cat, the letter F, pre-op. It's a drink that the hospital has you order beforehand, and it's intended to hydrate you well, help with nausea, and help prevent infection related to the surgery. So I didn't look into it any further than that. I took their word for it. So I drank that the evening before. It was easy to get down. And then you are to drink it the morning of 2 hours before your scheduled surgery time. Now, if you are not first in line for surgery, you have no idea what time your surgery is going to be. But you do drink this drink 2 hours before your scheduled surgery time. Okay, at the hospital, I was allowed to bring 2 adults with me, but only one could come back into the pre-surgery area. So, hospitals are still a little bit strict. Some of them are in terms of how much company you can have just to keep infections down. But I was allowed to bring 2 adults with me and bring one kind of behind the scenes with me in the pre-surgery area. So my mother and my husband accompanied me, and I definitely picked the right one. I picked my husband because if you think that spouses are nervous before surgery, I promise you moms are worse. So he was back there with me, and you answer the same questions over and over again with the different professionals. You have a nurse, you have a tech, you have anesthesiologist, and they'll ask you a bunch of questions and look at your record in terms of medications. They'll ask you how your eating has been. They might ask you to take a pregnancy test, or they might ask you to sign off that you refused that. They did a really great nausea protocol. So I experienced very little nausea in the hospital. I know right before I went into surgery, a nurse put a little patch behind my ear, and I was told that they do layers of protection for nausea. So that was great. The surgeon came in before surgery and talked with my husband and I about what was going to happen during surgery and what was going to happen when I woke up. So when I woke up, I was told I'd be asked to walk pretty quickly, and that I would also be drinking water out of little medicine cups and try to get one of those medicine cups down every 15 minutes. But I was to take super tiny sips, just enough to kind of wet my lips. That's important to note for later. So I was told about that, that I would be getting up and walking around, and then that maybe later that evening I might try some other liquids. And they bring you back they give you some anti-anxiety medications typically, and then they bring you back into the operating room. And then of course I don't remember falling asleep. I remember feeling super happy, and I get like that when I've had surgeries in the past, and I get super affectionate. That's just what happens to me. So I'm sure I was like that. Okay, when I woke up, oh my God. I want you to know about this because I want you to be prepared about this. When I woke up from surgery, if I could have waved a magic wand to take everything back and go back to my original 220 on a 5'2" frame, I would have done that. Oh my God. Okay. So when I woke up, I do remember saying, just leave me alone, I want to sleep. So my mom never got to come back and see me in recovery. So I remember just feeling tremendous gas pressure in my abdominal area. So when they do the surgery, they pump you full of air so they can get to your organs. They can't let all of that back out. Your body kind of reabsorbs it. So the pressure you feel is okay. And when I woke up, I had a binder on. I'm gonna stand up a little bit, like on my upper belly. It should have been on my whole abdomen, but for some reason it was all scrunched up and on my upper belly. It was horrible. So they took that off Oh gosh, I'm getting all mixed up. Okay, let me slow down. If I wait to get this perfect, it's never gonna happen, but I wanna slow down and clarify some details. Okay, so I woke up from surgery in the recovery room and I remember saying, I just wanna sleep. So my mom didn't come back and see me. My husband didn't come back and see me. And I do remember a professional of some sort, it might have been a technician, it might have been a nurse, sitting at the foot of my bed and looking from me to the monitor, to me to the monitor, and then kind of going in and out of sleep. At some point, I was wheeled to my hospital room, and I do know that I asked for a bedpan and couldn't pee in it, so I got up and I think I was helped to the bathroom by a nurse. I used the toilet, and then I think I walked to my hospital bed and like got hooked up with everything that I needed. I felt horrible, lots of gas pressure. When I got into my bed, they put compression tubes on my legs and they would slowly inflate and deflate, and they kind of alternated, and that was to keep circulation going and to prevent blood clots. And they looked at my belly. The binder that I had was like totally scrunched up, and at the top of my abdomen it was clearly too small, and so they took that off of me. They tried to put another one on me that was way too big, and being the Goldilocks that I was, I'm like, if it's not required and I can't have one just right, can we just like not do that? So they just took it off of me completely. When I got home, I did order like a pregnancy belt type of support binder thing, and that was helpful. Anyway, there was some confusion as to what I should be drinking and how fast and what type. I remember a nurse bringing in a glass of ice water with a straw in it and setting it down. I remember my dietitian telling me, don't let them give you a straw. Like, don't drink out of a straw because that sucks in air and it's gonna just make your heartburn worse. So there was a straw in it, and I pointed it out, and someone else like immediately grabbed it out of the cup, and it was a glass of ice water. I remember someone saying something about you don't need the ice or don't chew on the ice. I just ignored the ice. But anyway, I was like, oh, do I get my medicine cups now? And they didn't know what I was talking about. Remember I said that my surgeon said I would be drinking water out of little medicine cups, one of those every 15 minutes. Well, apparently on the floor I was on, it was like a gastrointestinal type floor, anything basically from throat to butt. And apparently half of the floor was very accustomed to receiving bariatric patients post-surgery. And the other half of the floor was like everybody. Well, I got on the everybody side, and there was some confusion about medicine cups, what medicine cups. And I was like, yeah, and I'm also supposed to track it for the surgeon and all of this. And they had no idea what I was talking about. And then I second guessed myself. I was like, maybe I'm supposed to start this tomorrow. And it was really confusing. So someone brought me medicine cups, and I just started sipping out of the styrofoam cup. I did the best I could. I was hooked up to an IV, so I was getting the hydration that I absolutely needed. And they wanted to make sure that they want to make sure you can keep stuff down and that you're not having trouble with nausea, you're not having any trouble accepting fluids. So I did get better and better. And that evening I had a couple sips of vegetable broth. I think I maybe had like a bite of Jello, and maybe I might have licked the spoon a little bit with some yogurt, but that's all that I really consumed during my hospital stay in terms of food. So in general, I had a lot of anxiety during my hospital stay. I had a roommate in the same room, which it blows my mind that that's even a thing, that you share a bathroom and a room in a hospital in this day and age. I guess, you've got to be able to fit everybody, right? But just in terms of like infection and like privacy and all of that, it still blows my mind that you could share a room. But I did. My roommate was a really fun person, and I'm glad that I had her. But one of the really funny things is that her boyfriend came to visit her, and even though we had a curtain between us, I would talk with her, and I was afraid to fart because her boyfriend was there. Isn't that stupid? Isn't that like the dumbest thing ever? Like, you want to burp and fart after this surgery. Like, any urge that you have to do that, you should do that. You want to get things moving. But because my roommate's stupid boyfriend was there, I wouldn't fart. So that's a problem. Another thing I experienced is I wanted to get up and go to the bathroom a lot. So I would say at least hourly, I was paging a nurse to start with to get up. And they had to like undo my leg compression tubes. They had to unhook me from the wall, and they had to follow me. And you know what I did? I kind of figured out how to do all of that myself, and I took myself to the bathroom. But I was pacing and getting up and moving around on my own just due to anxiety. I probably should have asked for something for the anxiety. I think I was thinking that, what if I get a blood clot? And I was thinking, I just wanted to kind of escape my body. That gas pressure in your belly is just so strong. If you've ever had trapped gas, if you've ever been pregnant with trapped gas, it's like that. At some points, it kind of felt like menstrual cramps. It was kind of like a bloated menstrual cramp, trapped gas feeling, but what I never experienced was any acute pain like in the stomach. It was just kind of like in the general abdominal area. I mentioned before that the nausea protocol was really good. So there was one point in time where I felt a little bit nausea, and I mentioned it to a nurse, and very quickly they came back in and gave me an injection. And then I was on Zofran periodically, which is an anti-nausea medication. So I did take that, that dissolves in your mouth. So I did not struggle with nausea. That was like not really a thing for me. I haven't gotten sick at all since I've had surgery. So I am about almost 5 months post-op. Okay, so like another thing that I mentioned earlier is that I would be asked to walk to do like laps and such in the hospital, and no one really bothered me about that. I remember asking a nurse during the midnight shift to take me for a walk, and so someone took me for a walk, and then another time I went for a walk by myself. And like I said, at some point I figured out how to unplug myself from the wall, and even though on my dry erase board in my room it said she needs assistance to the bathroom, I just took myself to the bathroom. But I think it's really important to try to listen and remember the information you're given before surgery, in case the staff that's receiving you on the floor after surgery doesn't have all that information. I'm so sorry to say that, and I think that they did the best that they could, and everyone was very kind and attentive to me to the best of their ability. I certainly don't have any complaints about my surgeon, for sure, but I was managing myself a lot. And I remember not wanting any visitors. So I had my operation like in the afternoon. It was on Monday, and in the afternoon, spent that night in the hospital. And then the next day, it was kind of starting in the early afternoon. It was kind of like, am I gonna stay? Am I not gonna stay? They could have justified giving me another night. I was uncomfortable enough, and it's a significant enough surgery that I could have spent 2 nights in the hospital. But I hated the hospital bed. I was anxious AF. I didn't want my family to come visit me. Like, I didn't let anybody come visit me. I think my husband might have come, but did he come? I think my mom and my husband spent a little time with me the evening of surgery, but they went home, and then I wouldn't let my kids come up, and I wouldn't let them come back to visit me. I was grumpy and anxious, and I didn't want my 6-year-old to like want to jump up on me, to be anxious about how I looked. I didn't want my kids to see me in a hospital gown. And I just don't like my personality in the hospital. I'm super anxious and it comes across as grumpy, but it's just anxiety. So that was hard for my kids, and I kind of dealt with the ramifications of that later. They were really upset with me, but now I know if I have a procedure in the future, unless you're coming to say goodbye to me because it's gone sideways, like I don't want visitors in the hospital. That's just my personality. So in the hospital at one point, I was experiencing enough discomfort. I wouldn't even say it was extreme pain though. It was just, I was offered oxycodone, and I've had a total of 3 doses of that, and it made me hallucinate. So I'll never do that again. On the drive home, I did end up going home the night of surgery. What am I saying? I didn't go home the night of surgery. I went home the next day. So sorry for the stops and starts. That's just part of the process. So I was talking about Oxy. So I was given 3 doses total, I think 2 in the hospital, and then I tried 1 at home, but I was hallucinating on the car ride home. I remember I was okay if my eyes were open, but if I closed my eyes, I would see like neon light type things. Like I remember at one point I saw like gnomes. Whew. So if at all possible, I don't think that I'll ever try that again. Ew. I know some people end up developing a problem to that, and I feel horrible about that, but I don't think I'm going to be at risk because I hope to never have that again. So when I got home, there is a pretty heavy duty medication regimen that you are following that I will make like a separate video on. So I hope I kind of captured what that experience was like. It was a little bit chaotic. It was manageable. I regretted it when I woke up. I don't regret it now. There were some bumps in the road, but the surgery went well. I wouldn't change it. So my next video, I hope, will be like the before and after photos. That is taking a long time to put together because I haven't taken a lot of photos of myself, you know what I mean? But I want that to be really cleanly edited and to be a really good video. And I want to show some video and photos of what I looked like before surgery and what I look like 5 months post-op. I am about 70 pounds down, so my body has transformed quite a bit. So we will talk about the good, bad, and ugly, about all of that later. But thanks for watching and getting through this video with me. Please subscribe. Please make a comment below. I would love to hear what you want to hear about and what questions you have to kind of keep the channel going and keep me talking about things. I want to help people who are in a similar situation, or people who are thinking about surgery, people who are about to go through it. I might be a little bit ahead of you and give you a preview of what's to come. So I'm here for you. So thanks, and I'll see you in the next video.